Good day everyone, I'm in Stirling today and I'm going to show you around the National Trust for Scotland Battle of Bannockburn Historical Centre. I'm going to take a walk around and show you some points of interest. So here we go folks. For ease of reading the scripts, press the full screen button down on the right hand side of your computer, and you can also pause as well. remembering the battle. After the battle. Robert Bruce, King of Scots, 1306 to 1329.
Bruce is in front of his army, reviewing them, giving them speeches. At the front is a dangerous place for any commander to be. But remember, the Scots are confident. They've prepared the ground, they've set up traps. Anything to break up and slow down that English advance. The guard is going to approach, led by the 22-year-old tournament champion, Henry de Bohun. De Bohun wants to make a name for himself, and he challenges Bruce to single combat. If he kills him, the battle need not happen. He couches his lance, tilts, and charges. Let's see how he does. Not very well. Like a can opener, Bruce gives de Bohun a frontal lobotomy. He splits his head in two. Bruce can only complain he's broken his phalanx. First blood stops. We now move to the Scots siege camp in the 6 weeks before Bannockburn. This would have been situated around Cambers Kenneth Abbey, much closer to Stirling Castle. Here we can see soldiers preparing food, gathering firewood, bivouacking for the night, and practicing their skill at arms. They're using arms and armour very much like the ones you can see in the centre. They will inflict awful injuries. There's nothing. Over to our right, we've got a group of English and Welsh archers, the scourge of the French and Scots. They're practicing shooting against the butts to our left, something you're required to do every Sunday after church instead of practicing football by law. You would train from the age of 7. It's got a 90-pound draw weight, and they never miss. It's also national trust policy. If you can catch an arrow, you also have a free slice of cake at the cafe. Here they come again. We can see the full impact of the war bow on the 14th century battlefield, but against a shotgun just like this to our left, a big hedgehog formation of tightly packed pikemen used to kill and destroy cavalry, the impact was lethal. This is what the Scots have to face at 5 AM on day 2 of the battle. It's what William Wallace faces at Falkirk in July 1298. Remember, a shot drum or a pipe block with holes in it is no good to anyone. It won't stop a horse. Here they come again. And you never get sick of that sound effect. Come now to day 2 of the battle, the morning of Monday, 24th of June 1314. It's 4 AM, first light, and the feast day of St. John the Baptist. To our left, the Scots have come down off the high ground, Balconic Ridge, down here onto the wet ground, the carts. They near them fair. We've been ordered not to take any prisoners this day. The black flag has been raised. Now the English army see this and they think they've found mercy. That is not the case at all. The Scots are spoiling their fights. Over to our right, the English vanguard will approach, and led by the 23-year-old Earl of Gloucester, the second richest man in England. Gloucester's been called a fool and a coward the previous day by his cousin Edward II. He has every gain. He charges the 800-metre long Scots line. Let's see how he does. Gloucester is also brother-in-law to Robert Bruce. All that armour, all that weaponry he's wearing, about 8 stone worth, about £90, is not enough to save him. His honour alone is intact. Gloucester is dragged back into the Shiltram and combat. Both sides of Bannockburn had cavalry, but what is the difference? You see them here training at the Pintail. Over to our right, we've got the English horse, led by the Earl of Pembroke. He rides a destrier, a heavy war horse that can bite down, kick and bite anything apart. 2,500. To our left, we have the Scots cavalry led by Sir Robert Keith. He rides a much faster pony called a Hobbit. Only about 300 of the battle, they are still deadly nonetheless. Hitting each other, they were travelling at just under 55 miles an hour. Finish off with the English army at Bannockburn had between 6,000 and 8,000 archers. More than the English army had at Agincourt a century later. But as you can see to the right, they've also got crossbows. Crossbow can only shoot twice per minute. As you can see from the butt, so it will destroy them. It will punch through plate, mail, wooden bodies like paper. You can teach someone to use a crossbow in the afternoon, but it is far more expensive to make. The English army had locks, the Scots had none. The Pope thought the crossbow was so brutal, he tried to have it banned. It should not be used against Christian soldiers. So the English army decided to bring 300 of them. We can see the full reality here. As to our right, these Genoese mercenary crossbowmen from Italy shoot this Scots infantry coming out of the woods to our left. If I was you, gentlemen, I would take cover. You're right at their shooting line. Here they come. That's going to sting in the morning. I think I've got some cream for that. Right then, that is the last of our battle scenes. Now, we are going to give you about 10 minutes to do some exploring. To start off with, in the centre of the room, we've got replica arms and armour as would have been used in 1314. Now, you can pick them up, you can do away from them. That is what they are there for. They are safe in our parts. One thing I do not want to see anyone doing is running your hands down the edges of the blades or touching the points. They might be replicas, they are still weapons. Abuse them, they'll abuse you. Some of those blades do have burrs in them and not been able to grind out. All it takes is for you to run your hands down the edge, get it caught on one of those burrs, and you will be going to hospital with stitches. It's happened before, I've done to myself. Do not run your hands down the edges of those blades. This information board over here will break down how those Scott-Schultram formations, those pipe blocks, would have been organised. Along the back wall you'll find 8 information boards breaking down how we know so much about fighting. Finally, behind the screens to my left and to my right, we're going to find characters who took part in the fight. 5 English, 5 Scots. Next to each of them you'll find an information board breaking down who they are and what their role in the fighting was as well. They do have buttons next to them, they've also got footprints in front of them as well. Don't step on them, don't press them, they won't do anything. You've got to do some reading. They'll be behind the screen to my side. While I'm exploring, if you've got any questions at all, come and find me. I'll be walking around. I'll be back in about 10 minutes' time, just after 1:30. Go and explore. Enjoy.
Do we rendezvous here again?
Yeah, I'll call you back in, okay, when we're ready to go on. Okay?
You use the tannoy?
I'm not using that tannoy, I'll shout it out. Okay?
Okay. The spears. Spear was the main strike weapon in the cavalry charge. Scots infantry used long, thrusting spears or pikes in a formation known as the Schultram. Now, as per usual, I'll go down slow as I can, and if you want to have ease of reading, you can enlarge your screen. You can go down to the bottom right hand side of your screen and press full screen, and that will enlarge the screen, so it also enlarge the print to give you ease of reading. You can also pause as well. If I'm going too quick for you, you can pause the screen. Saturday to 24th of June 1314. For ease of reading, press the full screen button at the bottom of the screen page. You can also pause as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 7, 5, 6. Back in the centre?
Yes, please.
Okay. Oh, you're there.
Right then. So, we've seen why the battle had to happen. We've seen how it happened. Okay, we're going to go into our map room now. We're going to go through the actual events and fighting as well. Now, to do that, we're going to go down the dark narrow corridor. Watch your footing as we're going along. I've not lost anyone yet today. Okay, I'd rather like to keep it that way. But if you'd like to follow me right now, we'll get going. Sharp corner to the left. Sharp one to the Right then, gentlemen, can I get you to put yourselves on this side of the balcony space? Make sure you can see down across that map. I'm going to get downstairs into the cockpit and get you started. Right then, gentlemen, before we get started, does anyone need chairs on the way back? Right then, this is the Stirling and Bannockburn area as it would have appeared in the mid-14th century. Every single hill, river, furrow, the wet ground down here, the trees over here, even up to Stirling Castle on its crag, is exactly as it would have appeared May to June of 1314. So this is our battlefield. Just to align yourselves on the map, northwards is that direction, which is really confusing, when in reality northwards is actually over there. So I could have at least orientated the map the right way around. Flip it 90 degrees to the left, you'll be pointing the right way. However, if you go up and have a look at the monuments later on, you'll be able to tell exactly which way is north. You'll be able to see Stirling Castle peeking out through the trees. Where are we on the map? Our battlefield centre is just over here, in the middle of the new park, in the middle of the battlefield. From where we are up to Stirling Castle, it's about 3.5 miles. Now I'm going to talk for about 10-15 minutes at the very most while I'm going on. If either of you do have any questions, please feel free to ask. I do get sick of my own voice. This is tour number 3 of 5 today. So by 5 o'clock this afternoon, I will have gone out. If you've got a question, no matter how weird, wonderful, deranged it might be, and believe you me, I've heard absolutely everything in this room, either shout it out or stick a hand up. That's what I'm here for. Really don't mind. Even if you've got to interrupt then, gentlemen, okay, if you've got a question, okay, just ask. Okay, that's why I'm here. Now, in 1314, the most northerly isolated English castle in Scotland is Stirling up there on its volcanic crag. Stirling Castle is so important because, of course, it overlooks Stirling Bridge, the only viable crossing point on the medieval Forth River. Hold the bridge to control all traffic moving north to south through Scotland. So the castle and the bridge are the prizes for the Battle of Bannockburn. Now in June of 1314, Stirling Castle has been besieged for the past 6 weeks from Cambuskenny Abbey by the Scots army. The people in the castle know the chance of an English army coming north and saving them is zilch. It's not going to happen. So the Scots deliver an armed ultimatum. If Stirling Castle is not believed by Midsummer's Day 1314, it will automatically fall to the Scots army. So a challenge for battle has been given, and Robert Bruce, King of Scots, accepts. He needs to raise an army. That Scots army is going to number anywhere in the region of between 6 and 10,000 men. They'll move from the King's Park over here into the new park and on the Balcony Ridge, where for the next 6 weeks they're going to train in their battle lines, forming a battle plan and awaiting that English invasion. Now, when Edward II, King of England, hears about this deal for Stirling Castle, well, naturally, he's not very pleased. He raised his own English army of anywhere between 18 and 24,000 men. That army, though, is not just English. It also has members from Scotland and from Ireland, Wales, France, Germany, Italy, Switzerland, Denmark, Holland, Belgium and Spain. The list goes on. They're from all over the place. They are not just from England. Post-Brexit Britain could certainly learn something. So, this army marches north. They get here by the afternoon of Sunday, the 23rd of June, 1314. Now, as soon as they get here, they see they've got a number of obstacles in their way. So, first and foremost, the Bannockburn itself right here. Now, at its lowest, down here at Milton Ford, where the Premier Inn is today, is about 5 feet. You can hop across that. That's not an issue. Move eastwards, though, you then encounter the Great Ditch. That is a 40-foot chasm. It's steep, it's slippery, it's impassable. Try crossing that, you will fall flat on your face. Still there today, okay? So, if you can't cross over there, that forces you further eastwards down here onto the carts. Nasty, horrible, wet ground to this day. In the summer though, it is going to bake hard, and it is a good campsite. There's fresh water down there, so you can water your horses and your men, good start. You've also got protection on all 3 sides, so the Scots can't get around you, that's even better. But best of all, plenty of open ground to form an army. So by all accounts, that's actually not too bad. The big problem is though, is that when 24,000 boots continuously tramped across that ground and churned it up, just when you've rugby field, that's going to turn to mud. It will turn to swamp. Horses will get stuck down. Finally crossing that, you then encounter the Pell Stream Burn. Running through St Ninians is all but disappeared today. It's retreated underground, but it will hem the English army in. Finally getting over all that, the English army will be on firm ground up here on Broom Bridge, give battle to the Scots over here in the King's Park, and hopefully finally relieve Stirling Castle. Sounds simple, I assure you it really is. The English army arrives at 3:30 on Sunday, the 23rd of June 1314, and already they've got enough to follow. Down here at the ford, the Scots have set up traps. Now, if the English army continues up that road through the traps, what's going to happen? It's going to create a big traffic jam on the motorway. There'll be carnage, or sudden death. That's not a price you can pay. So most of the English army is going to move off to the east, down here onto the pass, to camp, and hopefully get back on the day one. However, scouting ahead, a small party of English knights does manage to get through those traps. Amongst the number is a 22-year-old knight, Henry de Bohun. De Bohun wants to make a name for himself. At the front of this party, he can see that off in the distance, there's a lone horseman on a pony. The big man himself, it's Robert Bruce, and he's all on his own. Now it's a prime opportunity, and de Bohun decides we're going to take him out. The rest is legend, going to see more of it in the exhibition later on. Henry de Bohun gets an axe in the face for his troubles. It ruins his day. First blood for the Scots. Meanwhile, another party of English knights now move down here onto the cast, only to see that off in the distance around St Ninian's Church, which is where Little is today, is a party of Scots infantry that's completely unprepared. If those English knights charge into that unit and break it, they're going to separate Robert Bruce over here, not only from the rest of his army, but also from Stirling Castle, and from his retreat route to the northwest as well. They could break the back of the Scots army here and there. So it's make or break time, those English knights are going to charge in. Before they can hit the Scots at St Ninians though, the Scots have formed a Shortrum formation. Now we saw some Shortrums outside earlier on, but Shortrum in Old Scots basically means a thicket. A really thick, thorny, spiky hedge. That's a really good description of what those formations actually look like. So imagine a big block of men. There's 1,000 men in each one. They're in 6 to 12 ranks, 6 to 12 rows. Each one of them is carrying a 16 to 18 foot long pike, a big spear. It's basically a human hedgehog used to kill and combat cattle. Now a horse is an intelligent beast because it knows it's probably not a good idea to run onto a sharpened stake. It's not good for your attack. The knight on top of that horse though, he's pretty thick. What he's going to try and do 9 times out of 10 is charge into that block of men, get in amongst their ranks, make a big hole, burst them apart, and ride them down. Now that is exactly how Edward I managed to beat William Wallace at Falkirk on the 22nd of July, 1298. Now in the 17 years between Falkirk and Bannockburn, the English army has not learned a better way of breaking up these formations. So once again, those English knights are going to charge in. Guess what? They can't find an opening. They spend the next 6 hours riding around that block of men, kicking up the dust, not really achieving very much at all. It's a bit useless. By nightfall, it's become pretty obvious that on day one, the Scots have been victorious. They have forced the English army back here onto the pass where they were camped for the night and give battle the next day. Squeezed like a can of sardines between the Pell Stream to their front and the Bannockburn to their rear. The English army down there in the cast is now completely surrounded. Now it has been a bad first day for the English army. They've lost 2 fights. That's bad enough. What is worse is that now the English commanders are arguing, so much so that no proper battle plan can be arranged. The knights have been so useless on day one, they're going to stay at the front, whereas the infantry, the archers, the guys on foot that now need to be brought forward to break up those Scottish short-term formations, they're still stuck at the back. So not only is our English army completely surrounded, they're now also back to front as well. That's even worse. Something else though has now happened, because in that English army there was a young Scots knight, and his name is Alexander Seaton. Now previously Seaton has actually served under Robert Bruce as a steward for his lands in Yorkshire. So long and short of it, Seaton's a bit of a turncoat. He now decides it's probably a good idea to go and change sides again. So Seaton is going to go from the English army straight over to Robert Bruce, and he tells him this: you fight the battle tomorrow, and there's no doubt about it, you will win. That English army down there is tired, it's hungry, it's fed up, and it's ready to go home. Charge down in the morning, and I can guarantee that that English army is going to break scatter. That is exactly what Robert Bruce decides to do. 4 a.m. on the 24th of June, in 8 big blocks, the Scots are going to form up on Balcony Bridge, and they smash straight down into the English line down on the carpets. The English army, waking up to this, doesn't know what to do. Now, the Earl of Gloucester during this night's previous day has been called a fool and a coward for not breaking the Scots. He now knows it's his time to shine. In his eagerness to get stuck in, Gloucester will jump on his horse, without his coat of arms, without his armour, most but dim, and he charges straight into the centre of the Scots line. You guessed it, he gets killed pretty quick. So isn't it? By doing that, though, he's now punched a big hole through the Scots' left wing, and that allows the English archers at the back of the English army to now come round the side to the west and shoot 2 volleys into the Scots flank. They're chased off, though, by Robert Keith's Scots knights, who rout them for the field. All this time, the Scots continue pushing forward, stabbing, skewering, slaughtering everything in their path. It's a bloodbath down. Now, by this point, the knights have now churned up that ground. It's turned into a swamp. More men are dying in the mud and the blood and the water than are being killed by the Scots. So the English army, now seeing they're not making any forward progress against the Scots whatsoever, decide it's now time to cut and run and save the losses. They're going to try and pull back across the burn to the southeast in a northerly fashion to fight them there. They get stuck, though, in this bottleneck right here. In the rush and the crush and the panic to get away, between 7,000 and 8,000 Englishmen get thrown in the burn, crushed under the weight of their armour and drowned, so they can walk across the burn without even getting your feet wet on the backs of their bodies. It's a human bridge down. Edward's army is broken, and that is before sunrise. Fighting has barely lasted now. Now, in comparison, the Scots have only lost maybe between 200 and 900 men. It's still a lot of people. In the grand scheme of things, it's certainly only points. Edward II has now lost everything. He's dragged kicking and screaming away from the fighting straight up to Stirling Castle, but as soon as he gets there, he's told to get lost. The castle is captured and Edward is in it. The ransom price will be Scotland and Northern England, or bankrupt England. That's not a price Edward of Carnarvon is willing to pay. The King of England is forced to retreat down the southwest side of the battlefield, down the line of the M9 to the Nithgo, Lord Dunbar, which he reaches by about lunchtime. Dunbar's 60 miles away. He takes ship from there back to safety in Berwick, leaving a third of his army dead here on the fields of battle. In the 3 weeks after the battle, Robert Bruce is up here at Stirling Castle, tearing it down, slicing it, so it can never be held against him again. In November of that year, 1314, Bruce is back here at Cambuscaniff Abbey, Parliament is held, and he's finally proclaimed true King of Scots. But it is going to take another 14 years, blood, sweat and tears before Scotland finally is recognised as an independent nation. That is the Battle of Bannockburn as it happened in 1314. Lots and lots of information to take in. Before we go any further, do either of you have any questions? Good. Stay where you are. I'm going to come and collect from the high ground.
Excuse me, how do they manage to feed themselves with all this movement?
They don't feed themselves. You get paid, you get fed for the first 6 days of a campaign. Afterwards, you are expected to beg, borrow, steal, everything to provide for yourself.
Good.
There's a good incentive, basically, okay, to go and win your battle. If you don't win your battle, you don't get paid, basically. So you're enacting chevauchée tactics. You're imposing yourself upon the population of an enemy territory. And by doing that, naturally, the people you are oppressing are going to come over to your side for protection, basically. So it's basically running a protection. But armies in the 14th century, there was no infrastructure to keep them permanent, so they don't get paid, they don't get fed. Winning a battle and taking the loot from the battlefield, that is the way you basically win a campaign and feed your troops.
So a lot of them may have perished because of hunger.
No, it wouldn't have been hunger, okay, because as they come north, okay, they're going through towns, they're going through enemy territory, and they are looting, stealing, burning absolutely everything, and taking their provisions and using that to feed the army as well. Okay. Does that make some sense?
Certainly does.
Fantastic. Okay then, gentlemen. Bannockburn is not the end of the First Scots War of Independence. After the fighting finishes here on the 23rd of June, the fighting and the war will continue for another 14 years afterwards, with victories and losses on both sides. We're going to look at why it takes so long for a lasting peace to be established between England and Scotland, if there is any peace, and what the ultimate consequences to war are as well. After this, I'm going to duck out for a couple of minutes. Don't worry, I'm not abandoning you to the dark. As soon as your film's finished, I'll come back to let you take you on to the final bit of your tour. So, enjoy.
Yep. After the battle.
The filthy lines pushed forward, and Edward's army had no room to manoeuvre. The crush became so bad that Edward's army fled across the Bannockburn. The burn was steep, and many died trying to make it across. So many that, after a while, the burn could be crossed with dry feet. A shocked King Edward had to be dragged by his horse's reins from the field. Edward fled to Stirling Castle, but was denied entry. He was chased east to Dunbar, where he escaped by ship to England. Edward's baggage train, now undefended, was plundered by the victorious, allowing more survivors to flee the field. With thousands lying dead on the battlefield, there was valuable armour and weaponry to collect. The encampments were dismantled, leaving very little trace. Many English knights were captured and their lives spared at ransom. In exchange of prisoners ensured the release of Elizabeth, who was being held captive. She was brought to York on her release. Following the great victory, the Scots took the war to the English. 4 years later, Edward's Queen Isabella was repeatedly nearly captured in the same city during a raid far across the border by the victorious forces, who found a new confidence in striking out across northern England and also English supporters in Ireland, all of which was an attempt to pressure Edward into negotiating with them. There were some who never forgot how the king took the throne. The Pope had excommunicated Scotland in an attempt to stop the fighting, and this needed to be addressed. 50 Scottish nobles gave their support to a letter declaring Scotland as an independent nation and one that should be recognised by the Pope. All the while, some of them were plotting to kill the king and put John Balliol's son Edward Balliol in his place. Still, the traitors were severely dealt with, and eventually France and the Pope recognised the king. In contrast, south of the border in 1321, Edward faced rebellion. His barons were angered by his new favourite, Hugh Despenser the Younger, who masterminded the king's triumph over his rebellious cousin, the Earl of Lancaster. The new regime was unpopular, tyrannical and corrupt, all of which served to take Edward's attention away from Scotland. In 1324, the future of Scotland became more clear because of the birth of twin sons to the king. David was born and lived. The next generation of Scottish royalty. England's monarchy was in trouble. Edward once again thought he could do exactly as he pleased. Queen Isabella abandoned her husband and with a lover, Roger Mortimer, began to plot his downfall. And so her son, Edward III, came to the throne while her husband died a mysterious death. In 1328, Queen Elizabeth of Scotland died. I, Robert Bruce, am now very old and very ill. But today, a treaty was sealed at Edinburgh, which sees it agreed that Scotland is an independent nation, although there can never be any guarantee that this war will end for good. My son, David, will rule Scotland.
Excuse me, sir. Well, folks, that was the tour of the National Trust for Scotland, Battle of Bannockburn Centre. Hope you all enjoyed it. Hope to see you all on the next journey. TCSS, take care, stay safe. Bye for now.